Share. Can you see it now, all of you?
Yeah, I can see them now.
No, my presentation.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, we can see
Okay,
it.
perfect. Thank you. There you go. Okay, let's go. Thank you so much, especially to Mary Beth and Brandy for giving me this opportunity to discuss, share, and enlighten you regarding the human resource and risk manager. In short, I'll just call them HR and RM. Now, this is not something new because last year we have launched these two new key personnel in your facility. Albeit, we concentrated our efforts along with Elma, Elizabeth, and Elena only to your HR and RM. And so therefore, the DSD and the payroll and as well as the administrator were not part of it. So we will take this opportunity, a good platform for you to have a good understanding of the role of the HR and RM job responsibilities. And thank you so much, Alan and Tony, for recording this. This is very important so that in the future, if we have new HR or RM, at least this will give us, opportunity instead of going to the facility personally to show them via the recorded presentation. So that's the title of my presentation, and let's move forward with this. So what are the three key objectives of my presentation? One, of course, is to clearly delineate the line of functions, the job responsibilities by, between, and among the following key personnel: the DSD, the payroll, HR, and RM. And there are some buildings where we have a combo, a hybrid. Okay, they exercise both role, HR and RM. But there are also facilities where the administrator opted to have two separate people or employees that will handle HR and RM, so that we will not have any confusion as to their role. So this is very important, my presentation, so that at least, especially the administrator, should know that they have two key administrative support services when it comes to job responsibilities, which I'm going to share with you in later. And two, and this is very important. This is the reason why, the rationale why Mary Beth, our Chief Operating Officer, decided to have the HR and RM. Understand, in most of the nursing homes that in California or around the nation, they don't have HR and RM. Basically, it's the DSD. So the DSD in the past, for years, I've been in the company for 23, going to 24 years, the tasks of the HR and RM are being handled by the DSD. So this is a great relief to all of the DSDs because it will free up your HR and RM tasks. And so therefore, it will be the HR and RM who is going to handle the tasks that you used to exercise, or the tasks that you used to execute. So that you will, and this is the reason why Aningala and the clinical, Joe Barce, the team said that, Joey, this is the best. So that at least the DSD, because we are now in an environment, we are extremely highly regulated, the competency check, the clinical training, so that the DSD now can concentrate on your task in the clinical aspects. And not only that, because of the shortage of staffing and the requirements that we have to maintain the DHPPD. Okay? So at least you can concentrate in that regard. And not only that, to closely monitor. We have lawsuits in some of our facilities. And of course, part of that, regarding the performance, the competence of our CNA somehow comes into play. So it is now your role. You can concentrate. Forget about the HR and RM task because you now have the HR and RM. So you will now concentrate in this regard. Albeit also, in the general orientation, which is part of the survey process, you will still be in our office, risk management, will still be involved part of the general orientation because it's 2 days. So the first day, and that is why we have Elizabeth, one of my staff, who is now considered to be as my DSD supervisor, advisor rather, that will help you, that will assist you, that will make herself available in the event you need her. Of course, she's going to conduct mock inspection in that regard. And finally, the objectives is to institutionalize the role of the HR and RM in your company's organization. And so, if we are going to institutionalize the role of the HR and RM, this is how it looks like. So, glaringly, the HR and the RM are not department heads. That's the one. Number two, they are not supervisors. They hold key administrative position and they get their orders or their instructions from the administrator, not from any of the department heads. If they're going to deal with all of the department heads, it is because the administrator has perhaps tasked them to do this, to do that, but that should run along the lines of their specific job descriptions. Now, talking about job descriptions, we have already formulated, presented, and explained, and trained, and orient all of your HR and RM last year. But the reason why we need to have this because of the objectives that I presented to you, so that we will have a clear delineation, clear lines of functions by and among yourselves. So that is how it looks like in your organizational structure. Now let's dive in immediately into the job descriptions of the risk manager. A snapshot. So you can see here, there are 15. So it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. And all of these 15 responsibilities of the risk managers used to be the job of the DSD. And all of these 15 job responsibilities of job tasks that they have, each one of them has a program. Each one of them has policies and procedure. And not only that, including appropriate forms. Now, if you're going to ask me, the risk manager, Joey, show me the program, show me the policies and procedure and the forms. We have already agreed last year that the next step that we are going to do is to see you again personally and present in a binder form, okay, all of this sequentially, all of these programs and its attendance, policies and procedures, including the forms. And also we will provide you a thumb drive because thank you so much, Brandy. All of you, you have your own computers and you have all the pertinent software that would help you execute your job efficiently and competently. So all of these job responsibilities, starting with the Injury Illness Prevention Program or the INIPP. Number 2, your task is to handle also the Early Return to Work Program. Number 3, the Sleep Resistant Footwear Program, also known as the Shoes for Cruise. Number 4, Safe Resident Handling and Movement Program or the Smooth Moves or the No Lift Minimal Lift. We have that. But for some reasons, because the DSD are so busy, so we want the RM to get themselves involved in assisting the DSD regarding the trainings of our CNAs. Because most of the injuries that we have, the number one loss drivers, that's the term that we use in workers' comp, are due to lifting. And so RM will be part in that area where they're going to assist the DSD in training them. Number 5, it is not only compliance for the employees. We also incentivize them. And your facility has the Employee Safety Incentive Program. And this will be handled by the risk manager. Discuss later. Number 6, we have the Pinnacle Retain Program. Thank you so much, Maribeth. Because as you know, the turnover rates in all of our client facilities is somewhat high, especially as a result of the COVID. And so there is a reason why we need to have this platform. It has to be functional. It has to be actively managed by your risk manager, which I'm going to explain shortly later. The beauty of having this retain program. Number 7, they will handle the fleet safety program. And you're going to ask me, what is that fleet safety program? My friends, this pertains to our driver. Along with Lucky Lipa, in your application for the auto policy, it is me who answers all of those questions before an insurance company is going to provide coverage. And always, number 1 question, do you have a fleet safety program? And my response is, yes, we do have a fleet safety program. So that's why all of our client facilities, you have that. And who's going to handle it? It will be your risk manager. Number 8, they will manage and enforce the drug and alcohol use policy. Number 9, OSHA-related programs. This is not only confined to the ATD exposure control plan or the N95 fit testing. There is more to that, which I'm going to explain shortly later. Number 10, they will handle the general liability incidents. To refresh your memory, this pertains to visitors, guests, and invitees when they are in our property. And if there is an incident, and most of them are due to injuries in the parking lot, or slip, trip, and fall inside your building, and who is the go-to guy? It will be your risk manager. Number 11, property damage. God forbid, if your building will be, will end up with a damage as a result of a car crashing into your building, or perhaps as a result of the winter storm that we have, the flood that you might have in your area, and your building got damaged, who's going to attend to that? It is your risk manager. When I say attend to that, does not mean that they will be the head. It will still be the administrator. But the investigation, the documentation, including auto accident, will be handled by your risk manager. Why? Because we have to report it to your insurance carrier. Number 12, the Emergency Preparedness Program. This is required. Remember, this is part of the survey process. The ETAG, which was rolled out and took effect in November of 2018. And who is going to breathe, fire into this? It will be your risk manager. Periodic trainings, preparing our employees, our residents, when there is earthquake, when there is an active shooter, internal or external wildfire, water problems in the building, they will be the one who is going to help you and train them. Number 13, this is now the trend that we have. Labor employment, labor-related compliance program. We have now inchingly, labor claims. So we want our RMs to get involved in the conduct of trainings, required trainings, the seminars, and most important, to conduct investigations. We are going to help you in that regard. Number 14, most of the cases of the grievance complaints that you have pertains to anti-harassment and discrimination policy. And so, who is going to handle it? In terms of orientation, it will be your RM. If there is a complaint, who is going to conduct it? It will be your risk manager. But of course, always under the control and supervision of your administrator. And lastly, the CCTV system. Thanks to, Maribeth and Brandy, all of our facilities are equipped with the CCTV system. But this is not like a big brother. But this will aid you in terms of an investigation. Okay? And so this is very important. And so the role of the risk manager, there will be the on-site user and the remote access user, so that if there will be an incident, at least they have quick access. They can review and determine or substantiate the incident and come up with a reporting, investigative report that is more or less accurate, because that will run in parallel to what they have seen in the CCTV system. So there you are, my friends. That's the role of the risk managers. 15. So as I've said, it is not an easy task. This is what we have been doing. The risk management department, our office, the consultancy that we provide, all of this, and we are going to train you in that regard. So in other words, you will be our mini-me in the building. But don't worry, we are here to help you and assist you. Now let's go to the human resource responsibilities. There are 11. But these are not substantive. These are basically administrative. And so I would say 95% of our HR currently also holds the position of payroll, except 2 or 3 perhaps. So these are basically administrative. And so what are these? But even though this is simply administrative, but this is very important in the event we have labor claims. Because when we have labor claims, these are document driven. They subpoena documents. So if we don't have these documents on file, then we end up with exposure. So that's why it's very important for the human resource to be attentive on these areas. Number 1, the state and federal employee leaves of absence. We have noticed for the past years, we have employees who are out on leave. But is it properly documented? The answer is no. So this is about time that the HR should see to it that this is properly documented, not only properly documented, but properly designated. Okay? and they are eligible in terms of length of employment, in terms of the qualifying conditions. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, here are the forms, fill it up. No, you have to make a determination. Number 2, company's benefits. We want it to be accurate. We want it to be on time, including COBRA for those employees that got separated from employment. Are they properly documented? Is it in their personal file? How about number 3, EDD unemployment and disability claims? Who is going to answer it? It's not our office anymore. We will just review your responses. You will be the one who is going to respond the EDD unemployment benefit claim and disability claims. Very important, because if you're going to consistently lost, okay, when you contest the claim, your state payroll taxes will increase. Okay? How about number 4, wage garnishment? Of course, you have to attend to that. I will explain that shortly later. How about employee hiring and separation from employment? No, you are not involved in the hiring and separation. Your role is only in the paperwork. Mrs. Fonasher would love documentation. So this documentation must be properly filled up and it must be expedited. Number 6, employees change of employment status, classification or reclassification, and salary adjustment. Again, Mrs. Fonasher would like this. From part-time to full-time, from full-time to part-time, or perhaps transfer from one position to the other. We don't know. And suddenly, they're already in that position. And you'll be the one, the HR, who is going to see to it that this is accurately, properly documented, and sent on time to your counterpart in Unified Care Services. Number 7, okay, this is the problem that we normally have in almost all labor claims, the PAGA lawsuit, hours and wages. Again, Mrs. Fonasher reminded me again, Joey, where are the forms? You know, they had overtime, they had double time, and then on-duty meal period, and then we don't have this the documents. How about waiver? We don't have these documents. My friends, you are the human resource. You have to see to it, and you work in tandem with your payroll. You have to see to it that before you're going to transmit to Unified Care Services, that all of these are attached to their timesheet. Because once there's a lawsuit, okay, our lawyers will request the attachment. So this is very important. How about employees' request of personal file and timesheets? Okay, we have 30 days for personal file. We have 21 days for pay stubs and timesheets. And of course, you're going to be part of this. You see to it that the proper form has been filled up. And then you're going to coordinate with the payroll. Number 9, you're not part of the Shoes for Cruise, but your role is to simply facilitate the invoices, which will be provided to you and properly initialed by the risk manager. Number 10, the Employee Safety Incentive Program. That is the job of the RM, but for purposes of facilitating the payment, whoever is the winner of the Safety Pays Bingo, you will be the one who is going to work on it and give it to the AP. Number 11, the Pinnacle's Employee Retained Survey. All of these are driven by data. So every 1st and every 15, and you have been trained in that regard. Thank you so much. You have already set the first batch of those data to retain. And you're going to have your users training, I guess, next week. Okay? So in a snapshot, this is the job of the HR. So let's move forward. We'll go to some specifics. Now with the HR, the INIPP is not an ordinary program. It is required by the state, by the federal government. If there is a health and safety inspector that will come into your building, the first question is, do you have an INIPP? My friends, if you don't have, big time, you will end up with a huge citation. And who is going to handle this? Of course, it's the administrator, but the one primarily that's going to see to it that we have this in place and being made available to the employees and where they are located, it's the risk manager. In short, you are the safety manager. And so therefore, in the general orientation, your role is to conduct all newly hired employees regarding the program. It will only take you 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Tops, you're done. And not only that, because of the injuries that we have in our building, we want to mitigate, we want to minimize. You will be part of the basic safety orientation as to proper body mechanics, lifting, okay, pushing, shoving, etc. That is very important. And then of course, you're going to manage all first aid injury and illnesses, and including workers' comp claims. And most important, and this has been in hibernation as a result of the COVID that we had, it is about time for you to jumpstart. And who is going to be the lead person, who is going to coordinate and to see to it, to shepherd that the safety committee is vibrant and functional, it will be the risk manager. It could be a monthly, it could be quarterly, it depends on the administrator. And you'll be the one to help the administrator in coming up with the agenda. And most important, the minutes of the meeting. Health and safety inspector, you can have your INIPP, you can show it to them, but they're going to ask you, do you convene, do you meet, meaning your safety committee? Yes. Next question, do you have a copy of the minutes? My friends, if you don't have it, you're dead. Okay? And then not only that, you're going to conduct periodic hazard identification and hazard assessment. Because the OSHA mandate is to see to it that all of our employees are safe from any or all forms of hazards. So your role is to identify. And then if you identify, you don't just talk. You are going to correct. And then, in that regard, you're going to conduct relevant and necessary safety in services. Next, early return to work program. You know, my friends, what is this? Because if we don't allow employees, we view employees who are injured, okay? We'll start with the injured worker. Not allowing them to return back to work because they got injured, because we have that negative perception. I'll tell you, automatically it will end up with the workers' comp claims. And we don't want workers' comp claims. On an average, one claim is $75,000. So that's why we have to do our best, if it's possible, practicable, and it will not cause burden, okay, to that particular department. The role of the risk manager is to coordinate with a particular department head whether this employee, the injured worker, can be reasonably accommodated. How about those with non-industrial injury? Perhaps they were involved in a motor vehicular accident. They've been released back to work. Okay? So that is also the role of the risk manager. You cannot just close your door. No, we cannot, because this is non-industrial. My friends, you will end up with disability discrimination under the American with Disabilities Act. So that is your job. Okay, let's move forward. How about the sleep-resistant footwear program, Shoes for Cruise? Now this one, in the past, before we had this program, because we had this already for about 11 or 12 years, this was as a result of AIG's loss control consultant, because one of the top 5 loss drivers was a result of the slip, trip, and fall. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, ever since we had this program, no more the slip and fall out of the picture. Kudos to the Shoes for Cruise. Yes, it is an investment. It is subsidized. One building, one pair of shoes, okay, a big building only spends around $3,000 something with a subsidy of $40. You cannot see the picture, my friends. Because with one injury alone with workers' comp, again, it's $75,000. So this is a very good program. And RM, your role is in the new employee orientation. We have a policy and procedure regarding this. You are going to introduce stops. 2 minutes, done. And you're going to assist all of them, the newly hired employees, how to order and place. And if they are not, satisfied with the style or perhaps the size, it's too tight, then teach them how to return. All of these are not being done manual. All of these are electronic, internet. Just link, and your role is to train them on how to order and how to retain. And you're going to enforce the policy. They can be the subject of a disciplinary action if they don't wear the Shoes for Cruise. And not only that, you're going to monitor the Shoes for Cruise data analytics. That's why HR is going to submit every 1st and the 15th, just like retain, equally the employee data file. Because with the data analytics, you can see who are the employees who are not wearing Shoes for Cruise, meaning have not ordered. You can see who are the employees who are already due for another order of Shoes for Cruise. So that is what you call the data analytics. And of course, every time there is an order, the invoices will go to you. You initial it, see to it that indeed it was ordered. You kick it to the HR. HR will now process along with the AP for payment. Okay? Safe Resident Handling and Movement Program. We call it the Smooth Moves. So what is your role? We have a policy and procedure. In the new employee orientation, that will be part. Introduce them the policy and procedure. Again, taps, 2 minutes, done. And then not only that, which is most important, very important, and I don't know, perhaps you want to work in tandem with the DSD. And by the way, we're working now with Safety National. We're going to have a meeting with an ergonomist, I guess next week, because we are going to have again the train the trainer. We had this 10 years ago, 11 years ago. Since then, we never had any training in this regard. So we're working with Safety National. It is for free. It is bundled. This is part of our workers' comp insurance premium that we paid. It's free. And so that's why we are using this. And then I will run this with Maribeth. We'll meet in Golden State. HR, the RM and the DSD, train the trainer regarding how to use the mechanical lift devices. Because as I've said, consistently, number one loss drivers are due to, upper back strain, lower back strain, mid back strain as a result of lifting residents, moving residents from bed to wheelchair to bed to commode, etc., etc. So this is very important. Okay? You'll be part of that. We will mitigate all of these, injuries that we have pertaining to that in that regard. You will enforce the policy in the workplace because despite having this policy and procedure, but we have noticed that our employees, they're always in a rush. They think they're Superman or Superwoman. When the care plan states to the effect that they have to use the mechanical lift device because the resident is 200 pounds, 250 pounds, and yet, they feel they're like Superwoman or Superman, they don't use, and then they end up injury. Now, if that will happen, can you discipline them? The answer is yes. But of course, you're going to use the progressive disciplinary action. And this is very important. We have seen a lot of mechanical lift devices. Expensive. We ordered from Jones way back. They're just there. We don't know if they're working or not. And if they're not working or not, job of the RM, see to it that it has been locked out or tagged out. But most important on the part of the RM as well, we have to see to it this time around that your mechanical lift devices should be properly inspected on a regular basis. And they have to coordinate with housekeeping. Why? The harness. Issue of infection control. One or two of our buildings ended up with a deficiency. Because, ask question, this harness, when was the last time did you laundry or wash or clean this harness? Oh, they do not know. You end up with a, an F-tag. So housekeeping, the RM will coordinate. Maintenance supervisor, very important, the nut and bolts. Don't you know, on 4 occasions, we had a resident that fell from the mechanical lift devices. One, because of, how big the resident, it tilted. Because not properly maintained. And then there's another one, it cracked, it broke. Okay? So it's very important then, on a periodic basis, to see to it that the RM, on a regular basis, perhaps on a quarterly basis, they should work with them to see to it that these are working well, including the battery. There was an instance where it cannot lift. The battery is not working anymore, or it was not properly charged. RM will have to see to it that, along with maintenance, that this will work. And then it's not all, I said compliance. We also recognize, our employees for observing safety in the workplace. So therefore, we have the Employee Safety Incentive Program. Who is the program manager? It's the RM. And what are these? And this is part of the employee orientation. My friends, we have policy and procedure in that regard. The Safety Pace Bingo Program. This is a peer way of, pressuring, not necessarily pressuring, but to influence. That's the word. That everyone should observe safety. Otherwise, okay, this is not punitive. The jackpot price from $250 will go down to $35 or $40. Only if the injury caused lost days. When we say lost days, meaning the employee has been placed off work by our industrial physician. And then in addition to the Safety Pace Bingo program, Thank you, Lucky Lipa. We have the safety dollar in service. Next month, we are going, all of you. Congratulations to all of you. When I provided the data to Lucky Lipa and to the President of your Governing Board, you don't have any lost days. What you had is returned back to work on light duty and you accommodated. Thank you so much. Otherwise, it end up with the lost days and your building will not be entitled to the safety dollar. Okay? And then, the risk manager will be the arbiter of disputes and interpret the mechanics of the safety phase bingo just in case there are certain issues. Because you have a window. Once we have a winner, okay, they come forward, you have 48 hours. We have to wait. Now, what if prior to that there was a winner? How are you going to resolve? That's the job of the program manager. And of course, they have to validate the winning bingo card before they hand it in to the HR and accounts payable. And of course, they will coordinate Lucky Lipa Safety Dollar in service and as well as the employee safety party. Now, the Pinnacle Retain Program. This is something new. And as you know, it's very important, the first 90 days, based on research around the nation, the first 90 days is the most crucial. We end up losing our newly hired employees. So the Pinnacle will help. Why? Because what they need is a platform where they can express their opinion, good or bad, or comments, or I have not been trained, I have not been welcome. Or they can come up with that kind of answers. Because through their cell phone, to their laptop, or any mobile devices, they will receive a link from Retain every 15th, 30th, 60th, and 90th. Different set of questions. And then all of you, we have already, included you in the Retain. There is a chat box. You are going to see the responses. And it will indicate if they are at risk. And if it is an at risk, then whose job is it? Or risk manager, you better act fast and furious to see to it that this employee's concern has been attended to. Okay? So, you will be part in the new employee orientation. We have already a set of documents provided by Retain. The new hire packet, voluntary termination paperwork. In other words, if they decided eventually to resign, but terminated, no, they will come up with negative responses definitely. There is a paperwork for that because they will still be given the opportunity. This is like an exit conference. Administrators, department heads, I don't think so you're doing your exit conference. But this platform will give them the opportunity to have an exit conference. And we'll see what will be the responses. Engagement and follow-up surveys for all those current employees. Because basically, this is confined to newly hired employees. However, all current employees anonymously, every year, they will also be given, but not all. Perhaps 25 or 30% of the employees will be given the opportunity to respond to certain survey. And then, you are going to get the email address, the phone number of the newly hired employees, and give that to the HR. Why? How could they access if we don't have the email address of this employee and their phone number? Because the only way to link the Retain to them is through email and to their phone. So you have to see to it that this information will be given to the HR. HR every 1st and 15th is going to upload it in the FileZilla and it goes directly to Retain, and Retain will populate each one of your location. And you can see their birthday. Would you imagine? Wherever you are, whether you're on vacation, you know how many employees have been hired, who were recently hired. You will know who are your employees who will celebrate their birthday today or tomorrow or yesterday. And you will know your employees, their anniversary date, how many years they've been in the company. My friends, they've been a non-entity for years. No one recognized them, but with the Retain, the role of the risk manager, in case by default you fail to greet them happy birthday or greet them their milestone, the risk manager will be the one who is going to do it for you. Now, if you're an ordinary employee, you're going to get birthday greetings or congratulations for your loyalty serving the company for 10 years, 11 years. If you're an ordinary employee, how would you feel? You feel elated. You feel that you're being valued. So this Retain will help. Okay? So manage the Retain generate profile card. There will be generate profile card. If you will see it, it's because there is no email address, there is no phone number. That's why it's very important. See it. Greet happy birthday, anniversary milestone. And most important to us, attend personally to at-risk employees' comments. See? This is every day, by the way. You receive, okay, daily news feed. You click on it, and then everything will show. Fleet Safety Program, you're the program manager. We'll see to it that all of our vehicles are safe. So that's why all newly hired driver, including current driver, you will introduce the Fleet Safety Program, the policy and procedure. And not only that, through our office, you run the MVR. MVR stands for Motor Vehicular Reports. We have to do it because otherwise, if we allow a driver to drive and then there are certain restrictions or his license has been suspended, my friends, we end up with a serious problem. And every year, at the start of the year, which you have already started, thank you so much, risk manager, we subject the driver to the rapid drug screening. No ifs, no buts, we are going to do it. Very important. Would you imagine? The life of our residents are in their hands. And if they will be high on drugs, what would happen? My friends, it's $1 million perhaps exposure. And not only that, the risk manager will conduct quarterly inspection of the company's vehicles. See to it the tires are not worn out. See to it that the signal light, the headlights are working, and the hardware are not, they're properly working. Okay, everything, and then it must be properly documented. And we have all those forms. And not only that, don't you know that our office has the 1-800 How's My Driving? So all of your drivers, unbeknownst to them, if they will drive like fast and furious, someone from the public will notice it. They will call the 1-800 and it goes directly to our office. It's either Elizabeth or Elena who is going to answer. And then, if identified, then we call your facility. Then the risk manager will have to conduct an investigation. And if proven, then of course, disciplinary action. And see to it that the auto ID, okay, must be in the glove compartment, and it must be current, not expired. If they're about to expire, then contact our office and we're going to help you. And in general, keep and update the Fleet Safety Program binder. Drug and alcohol use policy, we have zero tolerance on drugs. And so, while the administrator, under the employee handbook, is a drug and alcohol-free workplace administrator, on the other hand, the risk manager, you are called the enforcer. You are like the DEA. So, what are you going to do? In the new employee orientation, general orientation, conduct new employee orientation on the policy. Do we have that? Yes, in the employee handbook. And do we have a separate policy? Yes, we also have that, but it runs parallel or in tandem with what we have in the employee handbook. And then if there is reasonable suspicion, okay, of an employee under the influence of drug or alcohol, or perhaps you just want to conduct random testing, is it allowed? Or perhaps any post-incident injury, whether minor or major, you can also do it because that is allowed under the employee handbook. Who does it? It's the risk manager, not anyone. And then, in the process, your role also is to conduct investigation of employees suspected of being under the influence of drug or alcohol. And who is going to order it? You will be the one who's going to order it with one particular vendor, that is Pamatec. So you see to it that one set consisting of 25 units for drug and alcohol not matched, you must have it available so that you can subject them immediately to drug screening. And that is your job. OSHA-related programs, you are the program manager. Okay? So in the general orientation, I said, do not worry because I will train you. It will only take you 1 or 2 minutes the most. Okay? And so what are the OSHA-related programs that we have? The INIPP, the Respiratory Protection Program as a result of the COVID that we have. But even without the COVID, still, because it's not only COVID, any airborne type of illnesses, Respiratory Protection Program, we must have it. Do we have it? The answer is yes. CalOSHA, ATD Exposure Control Plan, you'll be the one to enforce it. And also the Workplace Violence Prevention Program. So all of these 4, we have it. So you'll be the one to enforce it and see to it that it's updated. And not only that, every start of the year, before February 1, you must accomplish the CalOSHA 300 and 300A. And you will have to maintain the data, all of your first aid injuries. You must have a logbook because it is your responses on the OSHA 300, 300A comes from all your first aid injuries or illness during the last year. Of course, you're going to assist the infection preventionists in the N95 fit testing. Some of you, we have trained you. If you need training, we will train you. And this is important. Report serious injury illness to Cal OSHA. And you already know what is the definition of what a serious injury illness. My friends, this is big time. I will not mention of facilities. We have 2 facilities where we ended up losing. We did not file on time, and it was a serious injury. Profuse bleeding, fracture, admitted to the hospital not for medical observation but for treatment. Okay? Loss of hearing, loss of sight. These are serious injury. Within 8 hours, you have to report to Cal OSHA. Of course, you have to course it through our office. Of course, anytime a health and safety inspector that will come into the building, the role who is going to attend, it will be the risk manager, because you have all the information, you have all the policies and procedures that you can show to the health and safety inspector if he is going to request it. General liability incidents, very easy, okay? And this is not common. So if there are visitor or guest in our property covers parking lot, more so if it's inside the building, they got, injured, your role is to attend immediately. By the way, risk manager is not a 9 to 5 job. You have accepted this position. I already informed you, this is a 24 hours job. You cannot say, oh, I'm already done. I'm already at home. Do not bother me. It's Saturday or Sunday. My friends, that is not the role of a risk manager. The risk is always there 24 hours, and you must make yourself available. You're no good as a risk manager if you're sleeping on your job. Okay? So you attend to that. You conduct an investigation, and in aid of your investigation, you can use the CCTV, interview the witness or witnesses. Why? Because this is money. Because, the visitors, what would happen? They will go to a PI. You know what a PI is? Personal injury lawyer. And will end up with exposure. So better attend to this, because your role is to determine if there is contributory fault or negligence on the part of this visitor. Because if there is, then it minimizes our exposure. Versus workers' comp, no need for fault or negligence, automatic we are liable. Because we are a no-fault system in California when it comes to workers' comp. Property damage and auto accident, you are the first person who should be in the building. My friends, even in the middle of the night, if it happens, we want you to be there. Because you will be the first person that we are going to contact to determine. Because after you, it will be us. We will be there, hand in hand with you. Conduct an investigation, take pictures, review the video. Why? Very important. Because we have to send this to our insurance carrier, because all of our buildings are covered by insurances. And these insurance companies, the claims adjuster, they don't like if we have not abated, the word is abatement, meaning stop from having that particular incident to grow bigger. Okay, so you do the investigation, prepare the incident report, and then you send it to us. I report it to the carrier. This one is very important, emergency preparedness program. You are the safety officer. You have to orient all our newly hired employees on the EOP, the emergency operations plan. And we have it. And you're going to assist the administrator, either monthly or quarterly meeting of the incident command system. It is up to the administrator. If he wants it monthly, then do it monthly. If it's quarterly, then do it quarterly. You're going to assist the administrator in all the discussion-based and operations-based exercises, rallies, workshops, seminar, tabletop, drills, games, function full-scale exercises. And then you have to maintain and keep up to date the EOP policy and procedures information. My friends, this is the most important bullet. All of the surveyors will see to it, as I said, part of the survey process. It must be current, because if it's not current, then you end up with a deficiency. And also important, this discussion-based, operations-based, because you already know, once a year, a facility must have one facility base and one community base. If you don't have it, you end up with a deficiency. And most important to us also, finally, in the EPP, Elizabeth and I, we have already worked out on this. Anytime next week, we are going to send you. Please get yourself certified. Cert, CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. My staff and I, we are CERT certified. We are auxiliary emergency responders. If you wear that vest, if you wear that hard hat, okay, and that pin, any emergency in the state of California, wherever you are, they will allow you to assist. Okay? Now, if you are CERT certified, therefore, when you come into the building, you can conduct exercises to prepare our employees, our staff, in the event of an emergency, natural calamity, earthquake, internal or external fire, evacuation or shelter in place, and active shooter, the wars. You know, there are a lot, active shooter. Almost every week there is active shooter. So you have to do this. Of course, not immediately now. It will take time. But we are always here to assist you. Okay, labor employment, labor law related compliance program. You have to see to it that our state and federal labor required posters are current. I'm sorry, they're not current because we have a new insurance broker. In the past, we have Poms and Associates, automatic. Okay, first week of January, they are already shipped to our facilities. But this time, because we have insurance broker, okay, so it took, we have a delay. But according to them, this week, they're going to send it. All of them were addressed to you. When you get it, please post it immediately. And the one that you currently have, do not throw it, keep it for a period of 4 years. Date it, time it, what date you have, secure it. Conduct labor-related required in services or seminars. You can see it. This is required. Sexual harassment prevention training, LGBTQ, anti-bullying. This is state required. This is not optional. And you're going to conduct it. And who is going to train you? Me, us, will train you. We have all the materials. Conduct seminars on the different type of state and federal leave of absences. The conundrums. There are a lot. But we are going to train you. Assist the administrator in conducting investigations on any grievance complaints made by an employee. So administrator will not utilize anymore department head, DON, DSD. No! You are the best person who is going to assist the administrator in conducting this investigation. You assist the administrator responding to DFEH EOC complaints, meaning this pertains to harassment discrimination filed by a current former employee. Assist the administrator responding to labor commissioner complaints. This pertains to hours and wages filed before the labor commissioner who is going to attend it. You will assist the administrator in this regard. Of course, anti-harassment discrimination policy. We have zero tolerance on harassment discrimination in the workplace. You will orient the employees. We have this in the employee handbook. You will conduct trainings in that regard. Okay? You will also assist the administrator in conducting investigation that pertains to harassment and discrimination made by an employee or perhaps by a guest or by a visitor. Now, lastly, the CCTV system. You will assist the administrator in the implementation and enforcement of the facility's CCTV policy and procedure and the remote access policy. Do we have it? The answer is yes. But there are only 4 or 5 administrators who signed this. That's why I already told my staff, next week I will send it again. Please, administrator, sign it. And this time around, indicate and have them sign who is your on-site and remote user access. Would you imagine? This is not a small amount of money that you invested in CCTV. These are expensive CCTV. These are high-tech. This is not analog. This is digital. Better use it. And so please, sign and indicate who. Because the one who is going to assist you in its implementation will be your risk manager. They will serve as an on-site and or remote user. In other words, with their mobile phone. But of course, we have to see to it that you have limited access also. Okay? So, wherever you are, if there is an incident, you can view what happened before you rush into the building. And then you're going to coordinate and assist the CCTV vendor. And we have that person, PON Medic Jack, Anthony Marchand, in the event there are issues regarding the CCTV. And so, not anymore the administrator. You go to your RM, can you kindly contact, Anthony Marchand, or perhaps they have difficulty contacting, then contact our office, then we will reach Anthony Marchand. It should be up and running always, especially if there is an incident. My friends, you have to save a copy of that incident. Now, administrator, if you cannot do that, then let your RM do it for you. Okay, I'm doing it fast. Now, human resources designate job responsibilities. State and federal employee leaves of absences. There are a lot. This is document driven. There is a form for that. we see to it that it's properly documented. And who is going to do it? It's the HR. You see in this note, this is an administrative task, form compliance, and determination of eligibility. Does he qualifies for pregnancy disability? Does he qualifies for FFLA? How about jury duty? So these are the set of questions. Do we have a form that they have to fill up? Yes. Even though they fill up the form and they're eligible, but is there an attachment and supporting paper? There must be, and that is the role of the HR. Companies benefits and cover the same thing. This must be properly documented. So, very important, HR, you see to it that's accurate, that they're entitled to it. You don't just give out holiday benefits when they are absent, scheduled to work on that particular day or the day before or that particular week. See? How about sick leave? Are they already entitled to a dental insurance? We already know. It's not automatic, even though 60 days. Because they have to work at a minimum 30 hours in a particular week. If they fail then, even though they already reached the 60 days mark, they are not entitled. And then you see to it that the COBRA, so a termination benefits, has been sent to our insurance broker. Because if we fail, then we end up with a particular problem. We end up with a lawsuit perhaps. ADD unemployment disability claims. This is time sensitive. Upon receipt or date mailed, you have only 10 calendar days to respond. Disability, only 2 days upon receipt or date mailed. And you have to answer it immediately. Of course, you run it with our office. If you want to, we can review responses. Wage garnishment also is very important. We don't receive, you don't enforce any wage garnishment letters or notices coming from private companies. No, only from the court instructing the levying officer. Normally, it's the sheriff or the Department of Social Services due to child support. Okay, you'll be the one to coordinate with payroll in that regard and properly documented. Employee hiring and separation from employment, the same thing. It's only paperwork. Because I'm reminded of Mrs. Fonasher, documentation, forms are very important. She always tells me, lacking. So my friends, this time around, you better be on your toes. Okay? We need to have all of these forms in place. And we are going to provide you these forms. I'm going to explain you how to fill up these forms. Same thing with change of employment status from full-time to part-time, part-time to full-time. We have employees hired part-time and yet working full-time. We have employees full-time and yet working part-time. What is that? You see? So it must be accurate. And who is going to do that? You, HR. You have to help the administrator, remind the administrator regarding this and come up with the necessary, changes. And also, the secondary job employment agreement. If you're an exempt employee, you have a secondary job working and non-exempt, my friends, it should be properly documented because we don't want them to end up with two things. One, misclassification, working more than 40 hours, not anymore the primary job as an exempt employee. And what is worse, they can claim that they were not paid overtime because in the secondary job employment agreement, they are exempted from overtime for the first 8 hours. So, HR, that is your role. Hours and wages compliance, again, favorite of Mrs. Fonasher, on duty meal period, the waiver, all of these manual corrections, they must be in order. Not the job of the RM, but the job of the HR. Okay? Now, employees' request of personal file and timesheets, do not go to the RM, go to you, there is a form, they fill it up. You need guidance, come to us. But of course, if it's a lawsuit, a notice of intent to sue, it goes to the administrator, but you are the one who is going to sift, who is going to review before this will be released. But of course, you have to course it to our office for further guidance. The sleep-resistant footwear program, no. Your role are only two things: to facilitate payment of the invoices which came from your risk manager. And most important, bi-weekly, every 1st and 15th, just like retain, provide the employee data to use for the data analytics. The safety incentive program, basically this is administrative. You process the safety page bingo winning card which has been initialized by the risk manager. And of course, the employee safety party expenses. Dave Lipa, he said, every time I'm in the building, you can have your employee safety party. Now, send it to you, give it to you, and you to me. But you have to initial, and of course, I'll request Lucky to, reimburse you. My friends, these are, nice incentives. Okay, it increases the morale of our employees. We recognize for their, efforts to observe safety in the workplace. And of course, the Pinnacle's Employee Retain Survey, it must be done every 1st and the 15th. You'll be the one who is going to upload it in the retain file. So this is a reminder. On February 28 at 11 o'clock a.m., an invite has already been sent by Pinnacle. You will have your retain user training. Only 30 minutes. How to use, okay, the retain. And then on March 1, 2023, this is still tentative. We will have the SFC data analytics training. How to upload, how to fill up those forms. On March 9, 1 o'clock p.m., you will have your Safety National Map user training demo. My friends, we don't have video in the facilities anymore. They're already Jurassic. But with the Safety National, this is for free. More than 1,000, okay, of safety video materials. Name it, they have it. Now you have your computer, your desktop computer, as part of the general rotation or part of the corrective action if there is an injury. Now you can show them, and at the end of that show, there is a quiz that will be generated. So they cannot sleep. If they sleep, their answer is wrong. And you'll tell them, repeat, watch again, until you're going to come up with a 90%, correct answers. So you will be trained on how to access this map user. Now, finally, St. Andrew Care, up to now, we don't have an HR and RM. Temporarily, we have Ivan. Hopefully, in the near future, we will have one. For Harbor, we have HR, but we don't have RM. Understandable? Because, the lady that we train, she was promoted to social services. But hopefully, Angie is listening. Please give us one so that we can have everyone, our building, institutionalize the RM. Now, this is my final words. I love to do this, my friends. Your position is not ordinary. Okay? We expect you to be a model employee. So what is a model employee? Just read. A model employee means you have a specific purpose to outperform. Okay? To rise above the minimum expectations of the job. I set out to you your job responsibilities. Go beyond. Beyond. Okay? And when you do that, you add value to your employer. And you cement the position as an invaluable member of the team. Meaning you play a major role. Okay? So you have to go beyond what is expected of you. And practice always what you preach. You say, observe safety. And here you are, you're wearing a stiletto. You're wearing a high-heeled shoes. Okay? So how could you enforce safety in the workplace? Okay? And then you say, do not take drugs because, and then you're taking drugs. Very simple as that. Perhaps you don't, and I'll use drugs. So practice what you preach. If you preach about goodness, then do not do that is bad. Right? Bring dignity to your position. That is very important. One of them is dress well. Okay? Because you are important. A key person. The quality or state of being worthy of esteem or respected. My friends, respect cannot be bought. You cannot buy respect. It has to be earned. So you mean what you say. You stand by your principles. You stand by your values. That is very important in risk management. And of course, in HR. The number one resources in the company is human resource. And the role of the risk manager is to see to it, is to avoid, eliminate, cancel out any forms of risk in the facility. That is your role. Okay? Now, last two. Attitude is more important than your intelligence and achievements. I remember, Mr. David, when I applied in this company, he said, I don't need lawyers in the company. Okay, that's what he said. And I said, that's fine, Mr. David. I know he was just testing regarding my attitude. Mr. David said, I can buy the most intelligent, the most brightest person. But if he is flamboyant, he always brag, and he's lazy, he picks what he wants to do, and always rationalizing, being always philosophical, I would rather get one person who is below average but there's the enthusiasm, the passion, and the love to do the job, I would rather get that person. And I want you, we expect you to be that person. You don't have to be the most intelligent, RMs and HR. Attitude is very important. Attitude. And can I determine whether you have a good or bad attitude? Yes, I can. In the course of, of your performance, I can determine that. So very most important, attitude is exercise humility. So when you exercise your humility, you recognize your own shortcomings and limitations. What is the antonym of that? Arrogance. You don't accept failure. You don't accept from your supervisor that you did wrong. You defend yourself. My friends, just keep your mouth shut and say, I am sorry. That is most important. When you say, I'm sorry, then you exercise humility. But you mean it. Okay? And then, most important, appreciate other strengths. Giving credit where it is due. Yes. If someone is doing good, tell them you're doing a good job. That's very important. Do not, claim everything that is because of you. Everyone becomes better if you're going to acknowledge their value in this company, what they have done to the company. Remember, your role is human resources. Motivate them. Risk managers, that's what you're going to do. Give them the necessary tools, the necessary skills. Okay? And then give them credit. Give them credit. Okay? Over yours. Because yours, you don't have to say, am I good? No. Our office, your peers, your administrator is going to recognize that. Okay? And then, finally, showing openness to learning from others. That is being humble. I don't have the monopoly of everything. If I don't know, I say, I don't know. Even with my staff, Elma, Elizabeth, and Elena, there are things that they know more than what I know. And I say, please educate me because I don't know. Yes, that's very important. So if you don't know, then ask and do not pretend that you know. Otherwise, you're going to commit mistakes and it will destroy, the company, the organization. So hopefully all of these final words will sink into your brain and let's work together. And the reason why I am so passionate in talking about this, because I want you to succeed. This is my baby. This is our baby. You are our baby. We want you to succeed. We want you to have an imprint in the company. That's what you call legacy. As Albert Spike said, what you do to yourself, okay, remains with you. No one will talk. It will die with you. It will go with you to your grave. But what you have done to your peers, to your friends, to your parents, to humanity, remains immortal. They will continue on talking. When you retire, or God forbid, when you die, or when you leave the company for some reasons, people will still continue on talking about what you have done for the company. Okay, that's very important. So my friends, I will not entertain questions because it's already 2:15 and it is being recorded. So we are going to send it to you. I request Alan to send it to me and we're going to send it to you. Please keep it so that you will be reminded always what are your job descriptions. And not only that, I also provided you the materials. Please keep it. Use that as a form of reference just in case your memory failed you after 3 months. Oops, oh, this is the job of the HR. This is the job of the RM. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Stop share. How come I cannot stop? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that's it.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. 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 Thank you. Bye. Bye.